Think invading America would be easy. Every major military power on Earth has considered it at some point. Japan in World War II, Soviet Union during the Cold War, even modern strategists run the simulations. And every single time, the conclusion is the same. It's impossible. Not difficult. Not risky. Literally impossible. Let me show you why the United States is the one country that cannot be invaded. So be honest. Do you think any country could actually pull it off? Let me know what you're thinking below. Let's start with the most obvious issue. America is surrounded by two massive oceans. The Atlantic Ocean is 3,000 miles wide. The Pacific is 6,000 miles. That's not just water. That's the largest natural moat in human history. Every single soldier, tank, aircraft, and supply crate has to cross thousands of miles of open ocean before they even reach American soil. And here's the problem. The U.S. Navy controls both oceans completely. The United States Navy is larger than the next 13 navies combined. America has 11 aircraft carriers. The rest of the world combined has 11. China has 2. Russia has one that barely works. France has one. Everyone else, 0. Each American carrier group includes one carrier with 80 aircraft, multiple destroyers, cruisers, submarines, and supply ships. One carrier group has more firepower than most countries' entire militaries. America has 11 of them. Any invasion force trying to cross either ocean would be detected the moment they left port. Satellites would track every ship. Submarines would follow the fleet. Long-range bombers would launch from bases in Alaska, Hawaii, Guam, and the mainland. The invasion fleet would be at the bottom of the ocean before it got halfway across. But let's say somehow through some miracle of stealth, technology we don't have yet, an invasion force made it across the ocean undetected. Now they face the landing problem. The United States has 12,383 miles of coastline. Where do you land? California, Texas, Florida, New York. Every major port is defended. Every beach is monitored. Every approach route is pre-targeted by coastal defense systems. During World War II, the Allies needed 156,000 troops, 5,000 ships, and 11,000 aircraft just to establish a beachhead at Normandy, and they were only crossing the English Channel, not the Pacific Ocean. They faced a German army that was already fighting a two-front war and running out of supplies. An invasion of America would require 10 times that force, crossing 50 times the distance. Against a military that isn't distracted by any other conflicts and has home field advantage, it's not happening. Okay, but what if they somehow landed troops on American soil? What then? Then they face the most powerful military in human history. The U.S. military budget is $877 billion per year. That's more than the next 10 countries combined. China spends $292 billion. Russia spends $86 billion. The entire European Union combined spends $270 billion. America doesn't just outspend everyone, America out-technologies everyone. The U.S. has 13,200 military aircraft. China has 3,200. Russia has 4,100. America has more aircraft than the rest of the world's top 10 militaries combined. And they're not comparable aircraft. American planes are generations ahead in technology. The F-35 stealth fighter can detect and destroy enemy aircraft before they even know it's there. America has over 400 of them operational, with plans for 2,500 total. No other country has a comparable stealth fighter fleet. The B-2 stealth bomber can fly from Missouri to anywhere on Earth, drop 40,000 pounds of bombs with precision accuracy, and fly home without ever being detected. America has 20 of them. Each one costs $2 billion. Most countries can't afford one. America has 20 and is building the B-21 to replace them. On the ground, the numbers are just as insane. The U.S. has over 6,000 M1 Abrams tanks. Each Abrams can destroy any other tank on Earth from 2 miles away while moving at 45 miles per hour. In the Gulf War, Abrams tanks went 100-0 against Iraqi T-72 tanks. Not a single Abrams was destroyed by enemy fire. The U.S. has 39,000 armored vehicles. Yi-1 Sensen artillery pieces. Wu-10 helicopters. The logistics system to supply all of it anywhere in the country within 24 hours. Any invading force would be facing an opponent with total air superiority, armored superiority, and technological superiority. It would be a massacre. But here's where it gets truly insane. Let's say somehow an enemy force defeated the US military, destroyed the Navy, defeated the Air Force, somehow conquered the Army and Marines. Now what? Now they have to occupy a country with 400 million guns in civilian hands. That's not a typo. 400 million firearms. More guns than people. Americans own 46% of all civilian firearms on Earth, despite being only 4% of the world's population. Admiral Yamamoto, who planned the Pearl Harbor attack, allegedly said, "You cannot invade mainland United States. There would be a rifle behind every blade of grass." He wasn't wrong. Texas alone has 16 million guns. That's more firearms than the entire militaries of Russia and China combined. And Texans know how to use them. In Afghanistan, the Taliban used guerrilla warfare against the US military for 20 years, with Soviet-era rifles and homemade explosives. Now imagine that, except the guerrillas have AR-15s hunting rifles with scopes. Millions of veterans with combat training, GPS, night vision goggles they bought on Amazon, and drones from Walmart. Every town would be a fortress. Every suburb would be a battlefield. Every highway would be an ambush zone. The invading army would be fighting 100 million insurgents who know the terrain, speak the language, and have better equipment than most national armies. Oh, and they'd be really, really angry that someone invaded their country. The logistics would be impossible. An occupying force would need millions of troops just to secure major cities. Supply lines would be under constant attack. Every convoy would need armored escorts. Every base would need defensive perimeters. For comparison, the Soviet Union had 100,000 troops in Afghanistan, a country of 38 million people with limited firearms, and they couldn't control it. The US had 100,000 troops in Iraq, a country of 40 million, and barely maintained order in major cities. America has 335 million people, 400 million guns, 21 million military veterans. The amount of troops needed to occupy the United States would exceed the entire military population of every country on Earth. Combined, it's not just impossible. It's so impossible, it's laughable. Let's talk about something invasion planners call the tyranny of distance. The United States is massive, 3.8 million square miles. That's larger than the entire European Union. China is slightly larger, but most of China is uninhabitable mountains or deserts. America is almost entirely usable land, with cities and infrastructure everywhere. To put this in perspective, Germany is 138,000 square miles. You could fit Germany into Texas twice and still have room left over. Texas is just one state. There are 49 more. An invading army would need to control 50 state capitals, 19,495 incorporated cities and towns, 4 million miles of paved roads, 140,000 miles of railroad tracks, 41,000 miles of interstate highway, thousands of airports, bridges, ports, and power stations. The Nazis invaded France, a country of 213,000 square miles with 3 million troops, and struggled. The US is 18 times larger than France, with a population that's 5 times bigger and much better armed. Even if an invasion force somehow landed and established a beachhead, they'd need to resupply constantly. Every soldier needs food, water, ammunition, medical supplies, fuel. An army of 1 million troops requires about 2,000 tons of supplies per day. That's 100 plus cargo planes, or 10 cargo ships daily, just to keep them functioning. And remember, they'd be doing this across an ocean that the US Navy controls, 2 ports the US military would definitely destroy. On roads, the US would sabotage, through territory where armed civilians would ambush every convoy. Napoleon said, "An army marches on its stomach." An invasion force in America would starve before they made it out of their landing zone. We haven't even discussed nuclear weapons yet. The United States has approximately 5,428 nuclear warheads. 1,770 of them are deployed and ready to launch at any moment. They're distributed across land-based ICBMs in hardened silos across Montana, North Dakota, Wyoming. Submarine-launched ballistic missiles on Ohio-class submarines always at sea, strategic bombers that can launch from anywhere in the country. This is called the nuclear triad. three independent systems that cannot all be destroyed simultaneously. Even if an enemy somehow destroyed every U.S. city with a surprise first strike, the submarines would survive and retaliate. Each Ohio-class submarine carries 20 Trident II missiles. Each missile carries up to 8 nuclear warheads. Each warhead has a yield of 475 kilotons, about 30 times more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb. One Ohio-class submarine has enough firepower to destroy 160 cities. America has 14 of them. Several are always at sea, location unknown, ready to launch. The doctrine is simple. If America is being invaded and losing, those submarines launch, the invading country ceases to exist. Along with most of civilization, probably, but that's the whole point of deterrence. Nobody can win, so nobody tries. This is called mutually assured destruction, and it's the reason no nuclear power has ever directly invaded another nuclear power. The stakes are too high. The consequences are too permanent. But wait, there's more. America isn't alone. The U.S. has 30 NATO allies who are treaty-bound to defend America if attacked. That includes United Kingdom, France, Germany, Canada, Italy, Spain, Turkey, Poland, and 22 others. An invasion of the United States would trigger Article 5 of the NATO treaty. An attack on one is an attack on all. Suddenly, the invading country isn't just fighting America. They're fighting a coalition with combined military spending of over $1 trillion and nearly 3 million active troops. The U.S. also has defense treaties with Japan, South Korea, Australia, Philippines, Thailand, and about 60 other countries. An invasion of America would unite almost the entire world against the aggressor. It would be every nation on Earth versus one suicidal country. The war would be over in weeks. Even if somehow an enemy force landed, survived, established supply lines, and started pushing inland, they'd face infrastructure that works against them. American roads, railways, and bridges are designed for American logistics. The interstate highway system was specifically designed in the 1950s to move military equipment rapidly across the country. Bridges are rated for 80,000-pound vehicles. Overpasses have minimum heights for military transports. An invading force would need maps, which would be outdated or sabotaged. Fuel, which comes from refineries they don't control. Compatible electrical systems. U.S. uses 120 volts. Most of world uses 220 volts. Frequencies for communication, which the U.S. would jam. GPS, which the U.S. military controls and would disable. Meanwhile, U.S. forces would be operating on home territory with unlimited local knowledge. Civilian support, prepositioned supply depots, hardened communication networks, backup power systems, and every possible advantage. There's a reason the U.S. military spends so much time training for deployment overseas. Fighting at home would be infinitely easier. Every scenario ends the same way: total failure. So if invasion is impossible, what actually threatens America? Not foreign armies. Internal collapse. Every empire in history fell from within, not from external conquest. Rome fell to internal division and economic collapse. The Mongol Empire fragmented into civil war. The British Empire couldn't maintain itself economically. The Soviet Union collapsed from internal pressure. The real threats to America aren't Chinese troops landing in California or Russian paratroopers in Texas. The real threats are economic collapse, political division, infrastructure decay, social breakdown, cyber warfare, domestic terrorism, loss of technological edge. These threats don't require crossing oceans or defeating the military. They work from inside. America is so focused on defending against external threats, which are basically impossible, that the internal threats get less attention. No foreign military could conquer America. The reality is, America's biggest threat has never been foreign invasion. It's always been from within. If you want to see more breakdowns of military strategy and the real threats nations actually face, there's a lot more coming. These are the stories that show how modern warfare actually works, not how movies portray it.